I actually don't care what you believe, and I don't even going to try and convince you, because I'm
stage diving and crowd surfing and moshing, and it's just chaos. It's a release of energy. People are in there releasing this negative energy. Tonight's discussion about religion. It's a interesting topic worldwide. I think that there's all different types of religions. There's hundreds of gods. There's there's lots of different opinions, and I think all opinions are valid. And there's no evidence of any of the gods ever existing, but there's a lot of evidence of faith existing despite that, which is really fascinating. So I think as we look through a keyhole at the multidimensional multiverses through a limit of 5 or 6 senses, we know, we're conscious now that we know virtually nothing about what the expanse of what's out there and what's in here, but we can speculate on it. And I think through everyone's different opinions globally, everyone's different truths, and sharing our truths, we can find the truth. If you know what I mean, if we can really get everyone its different perspective and uncover and learn more, And as long as we can move beyond dogma and any sort of limited thinking and break through ego and any sort of cognitive distortions and really come together unified as a species with a collective consciousness, I think we have more chance of
you sound really religious.
For an agnostic man, you've got a bit of religion.
You sound very religious.
Well, I'm agnostic, so I am open to everything. I'm evidence-based. Which doesn't necessarily mean I'm purely scientific. I'm just evidence-based. So I've explored a lot of, through my walking the spiritual path through my life, I've explored a lot of different things that are unconventional, and I do so with an open mind. If something works, it works. I mean, placebos work. So if you're in a desperate situation where you need some medicine and the only medicine available to you is placebo, and from the trials that placebos have actually quite a good success rate, you take that placebo just because,
I think we're blessed that we can actually talk so openly, and even in this conversation, we probably don't require faith to go home tonight, have a decent night's sleep, and wake up in the morning and just keep on living and coming up with all sorts of concoctions of what's right, wrong, good, bad, indifferent. But I think there's a lot of people in the world that find faith because of crisis. And and that's why there's a lot of similarities in religions around the world where God is found in hell, God is found in darkness, and so you're obviously on a spiritual journey as an agnostic, which is fantastic.
You're right. Well, I found God in a dark place. Okay, so my father, my family, we're all very religious people. Well, growing up, the church was the thing. I converted to Islam for 20 odd years, and I found. For me personally, I found God in the darkest place ever. And my belief now as a converted Christian, I'm a born again Christian.
Well, but go back. You said you converted to
I converted to Islam, right?
What age were you?
So I converted to Islam around 13, 14.
13. And so what does being converted to Islam, what did that mean to you, though?
For me,
Yeah.
it was a unified front with the brotherhood that I was with. I was with an ethnic street gang.
Yeah.
It was part of who we were. It was the basis of what gelled us together. It was us,
So apart from your religious thing, you prayed 5 times a day, you did all that that stuff. Did you ever feel God in that time? Did you ever sense God? Did you ever believe in God?
I did for a long time. My changing in faith, my change in belief came in my last prison sentence. It actually came. I was praying hard, and nothing was changing. There was nothing for me. There was no shift in me. Nothing. And a friend of mine came at me with a Bible and started praying to me. I basically, shushed him off. I don't want to hear this. I know all about Christianity. Blah blah blah. Long story
But
short,
you stuck to Islam.
I stuck to Islam until one day he prayed for me. That was in my prison cell. He prayed over me, and something came over me. I was crying and everything, and he was crying, and it was like, okay, so I'll give this a try. And I received the Lord that day, and I threw up a prayer to get into rehab.
Yeah.
All right, whilst I was still situated in prison, still situated using drugs, and lo and behold, I was out of 7,000 male prisoners in the state. The rehab that accepted me never accepted anyone for 7 years. And
right.
Numbers is a big thing in the Bible. So out of 7 years, 7,000 male prisoners in the state, I was the first person they accepted on parole into their program.
How old were you?
I'm turning 40 this year.
So how old were you when that happened?
I was 36. It's going to be 4 years coming up at the end of this year, yeah.
So you practiced Islam from 13 to 36?
Yep.
And then you had this experience?
I had this awakening.
This awakening.
Yeah.
So is that evidence enough for you?
But then we can dispute, we can go back.
It's definitely evidence that was your experience.
That was a personal experience, right? But then there's documented
religion.
fact, though. There's documented fact, right? Now you've got 500 years after Christ, you've got Muhammad Abdullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He became the niche, for the Islamic culture. And fair enough, there was a lot of controversy about how, he was a militant and blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to get into that. What I'm going to get into is the fact that, okay, so there's documented fact on him, but there's documented fact on Christ as well. There's over 300 people, there's over 500 people that saw Christ risen on the third day. And, if, let's just say, for instance, if everyone was on drugs, no one's going to hallucinate to see the same thing. Okay, it's impossible. It's medically impossible. Yeah. So for that to happen, that's enough for me.
There's some literature out there that suggests that, and remember, we're speculating here because the Bible was written hundreds of years after the last apostle died. It was translated in the 16th century from over 1,800 conflicting texts. And,
more
parables,
more than that. I read the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Qumran cave text.
Yes, so we're talking about
5,000.
We're talking about something that is essentially hundreds and hundreds of years of Chinese whispers. So we can't really get into specifics. And then it's translated in different languages. It's translated by different people. Like the two passages about adultery have been translated by homophobic people in a way that serves their agenda by making it homophobic. But homosexuality was a normal part of life in various parts of the world in various times. And so it's just, people can twist anything for their particular agenda. But so you've got like the vengeful God, and then you've got the loving God, and it's really like people can choose. Which I want to get into religion to hate, so I'm going to go down this road and become racist, sexist, misogynistic, and I'm going to choose religion because I want to be loving and work for charity and stuff, and choose the loving. So it's like a knife. It can be used for surgery to heal people or to stab people, to harm people, and so it's not so much about what is religion good or bad, it's how people use it.
Yeah,
is a knife good or bad?
Could it be
a knife is great
view?
When you need surgery. A knife is wonderful.
Of course.
But if you're getting mugged, it's horrible. So
is religion valid in your opinion in the world today?
Definitely it's valid. I mean, God. If someone says, "Does God exist?" I would say, yes, God exists. In the hearts and the minds of believers, in literature, God exists. That's indisputable. But it's not. I don't think that's the question. Is God good? And when we talk about, when I say...
Who asked the question, is God good?
Well, I'm just saying, in response to the question, like, does God exist? The answer is a simple yes, even from an agnostic or an atheist point of view. There is.
Why would you say God exists if you say?
Because, like I said, God exists in the hearts and minds of believers. That in itself is existence. When
right.
people are doing
fighting
wars, when people are fighting, going to war.
Are you saying people are manufacturing God for their own end, or they manufacture?
Some people yes, and for some people they're just tuning into an energy which could be out there or could be within. It could be a cognitive distortion. We don't know. We don't know. We can only speculate. But the real question, I think, is God good? And when you think about an omnipresent, omnipotent super being that can create absolutely anything at all, and is choosing to create the most suffering that us with our human first world privilege can't even fathom, of the various beings on this planet that are suffering from starvation, from war, from incarceration, from torture, from depression, from all sorts of suffering.
Sure.
You know, like beyond our imagination. Like from this privilege, it's hard to even fathom that, and to think a being has chosen to create that. That's very questionable.
Oh, no, I'm going to step in there. So, from where I'm looking at it, from a Christian standpoint now, this, you know, God's not choosing. It's our free will. Okay, so fair enough. There's poverty in the world. There's some bad people in the world. There's murderers, rapists, child molesters. That's their free choice. That's their choice. You know, they're choosing to be that way. Not the poverty so much, but God didn't make that. But the governments that run them countries are making that, and they're going under a sinful nature. They're the ones that obviously they have beliefs in money or beliefs in idols.
But God made people that were capable of doing that.
Of
and
course.
Also, God made insects that crawl into children's eyes and make them go blind.
God made
You
Adam
know what I
and Eve.
mean?
God
Why?
made Adam and Eve, and
Why?
from there we were born sinners. That's I believe we were born sinners. As simple as that. So that's only my personal belief.
Yeah, but why make cancer? Why make death?
So
Why
no.
You're
not giving some credit to the devil. You say that there's two parts. There's God and the devil. So we're all going on the God tangent here.
Well, if God's an omnipotent, omnipowerful, omnipresent
Yep.
super being, then God is the devil. The devil is
But-
part
but-
of God.
but
That's
you're-
what
you're-
omnipresence
you're-
is.
You're
I disagree.
defining what is good and what is bad. You're choosing something that is horrible
I
for
think
the world.
suffering is bad.
Yeah, you're
for
choosing
sure.
my opinion.
You're
Agreed.
choosing something that's
I'll listen to another one.
No, absolutely. But going back to the human experience and going back to love and choice and all that sort of stuff, to place those limitations of whether God is good or bad, that's you and I defining God. God's neither good nor bad. God is God.
God is God. Yeah, 100%.
God is God, and when we try to logically say God must be bad because there's starvation in the world, because there's perversion in the world, what we don't understand is that God's bigger than even all that sort of stuff. And that's the hardest part for me as a privileged Westerner. My father survived 3.5 years in Dachau. My father was a gangster. My father killed people. He was in the Civil War. He was a warrior. He loved the smell of napalm. Okay, so here my mother's first child was taken from her in a civil war. Her village got burnt down. She wasn't allowed to speak her language on the streets because of the Greek. All that sort of stuff. They come out of terror into this promised land, Australia. And so in my family growing up, we spoke Macedonian. So my parents spoke Macedonian with each other because it was illegal to speak Macedonian in the streets in Greece. They spoke Greek to us, and the kids spoke English to each other. I felt like I was a part of an exotic family. That experience where 5 people spoke 3 languages on the kitchen table.
Yeah.
If I heard Greek, we knew it was the common language of the family.
Yeah.
If I heard English, it was between my brother and my sister.
Yeah.
If I heard Macedonian, I never listened to it because mum and dad talked to each other.
Yeah.
That was the way it was.
Yeah.
And so when I experienced, and for me it was an experience in my teenage years, and I did do drugs. I came from a bloody good family, just a brilliant family. But there was something in me that just yearned, probably like you're on a spiritual journey. You're like I think every person on earth wants to know, just wants to know, you know. And we place this God, Jesus, defining all that sort of stuff. So I had an amazing understanding of God at 17. And both my parents absolutely tried to nail me on it because everything I said reminded them of war and terror and what tore their lives apart. But they couldn't separate this thing that I had personally experienced from their experience. And so my dad was going to burn down the church. It was going to. And so as time went on, my sister became devoted her life to God. My brother devoted his life to God. We ended up becoming pastors and preachers and travelled the world, all that sort of stuff. But here's my dad in his early 60s. He just couldn't deny the life that his kids were having, and just this journey that they'd gone to up until 60 years old. And my dad gave his life to God, absolute socialist, communist, couldn't handle government, couldn't handle, and he experienced God, and my brother and I baptised my mum and dad.
That's beautiful.
Now that's not, I can't prove that God exists out of that, but I can tell you that I had an unusual blessing of peace in my home that came to me.
Yeah.
I didn't make that happen. It came to me. But that came out of tragedy, absolute hell.
We've been talking a lot about Christianity, and I think it's important to acknowledge that that's just one of many, many religions.
Well, I came from Islam, bro. So there's
exactly.
heaps more religions, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and
Definitely.
and also the this thing about religious dogma, where people just think that God only has one name and one face, and I just sort of think, well, I'm a mere mortal, and I have, adopted name, birth name, stage name, name. I have many names. I have many faces.
Just in response to a couple of comments, so one of the things that I want you to be really assured, I probably annoy more Christians than I do anyone else in what I believe a walk with God is and a spiritual life is because I hate dogma.
Yeah.
I loathe,
when you think about it, like dogma itself is blasphemy, because if to suggest that God has one name and one face when humans have birth name, adopted name, stage name, nickname, and angry face, happy face, sad face.
Yeah, but even now, I
dogma.
disagree with you there because it's totally a human experience that we're talking about.
But to suggest that God is more limited than what we are, when God's an omnipotent super being, surely God would have many names and many faces.
Because
different religions, like you're from a different religion.
That's correct. So in Islam, we believe God has 99 attributes. And we don't believe that he has a physical shape or form. We believe he's omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent.
You got that from us.
Well, if you look at...
It's true. 500 years later, after Christ, that's when Islam was born.
So all the religions, the main three...
Well, the Bhagavad Gita predates the Bible way, way, way more.
So
have you read that?
No.
Yeah, mate, read it. It's a mind spin.
If you look at the three main religions, the Abrahamic faith, so Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, they came from Abraham from the line of him.
Yeah.
And the books have a lot of similarity.
Absolutely.
They all talk about, one God. Of course, they say three, the Trinity. It's a nice example of...
Yeah, but again, that's a dogma. Back to even the Trinity. We create these things, and then, I don't talk about a Trinity. As a Christian, as a follower of Christ, salvation came to me.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't discover God. I didn't search out God. I didn't work out God. It came to me. When your eyes are open, You can't deny what your soul sees, what you experience, and when your conscience is awakened, you can't put it back in the box.
Yeah, well, and people talk about that with lots of different things, not
Absolutely,
just religions. Yeah. I mean, you've got,
and that's why I love religion, because religion does help you go through this path of self-discovery and ultimately knowing God.
Yeah, and that's what's happening globally. We're seeing right now this massive global awakening. You've got the Black Lives Matter movement. You've got people questioning vaccines, questioning the government, questioning whether it's 5G or the pedophile ring, or all of these topics which are getting discussed around the place because people are starting to wake up, and they're starting to go, we don't necessarily trust. We know that, some dodgy things have happened in the past that have surfaced, and now we know them to be factual. Yeah. And now there's a lot of questions. And a lot of like these so-called conspiracy theories, as we know from history, most of them turn out not to be true. But the fact is that some of them turn out to be true. And we don't know which ones now are going to turn out to be true.
My concern with a lot of your comments is that everything we're talking about in that setting is filtered through social media, the media, and a lot of the stuff that we say is coming out in the open. My mother's sitting in a place called Barbershop in the northern part of Greece, Macedonia, and she says that the communists would come in, and what does a communist look like? A communist looked like her.
Yeah.
It wasn't, there's a communist.
Yeah.
And they would be almost like a Bible study, almost like a religious group or a fanatical sort of group. They would gather the young people together and they say, we're going to take the land from the Greeks. If you come with us, what we'll do is we'll end up, taking over this place, and you're going to have the promised land. And she says, when I look at you, when I first gave my life to, live this sort of spiritual life, she was concerned because I said to Mum, can I have Bible studies at our house? And I'd have the Bible study leader do Bible studies at our house. And she just had these bizarre, almost like post-traumatic stress flashbacks of these promises. And so lots of things were going on in their world based on the same things like Black Lives Matter. You know, there was no issue of Black Lives Matter. They judge you on the colour of your eyes, on the accent. So right around the world, we didn't have that social media to expose that. What's going on in Africa right now? What's going on in places where no one gives a shit because it's not money orientated. I've been 10 times to India in the last 7 or 8 years. I'm telling you, mate, when there's not money, people don't give a shit and they don't make it a public issue. But people are. There's girls that are being taken into prostitution in orphanages. So who gives a shit about that? And so I have to believe in a benevolent God that awakens the consciousness of individuals. Why people suffer? I can't answer that. How could I? I'm not God.
But as an Islamic brother, as a Christian brother, nonetheless, religion is where our morals and our beliefs stem from. Okay, this is what I believe.
Yeah, absolutely.
It forms us into who we are as a good person, as a bad person. You know, if you have a faith, you have a belief, your morals come out of it. You know what I mean? It's who you are.
Well,
if we're going to be that generation
that religion though, because like a lot of people follow a religion, but they'll cherry pick, and then that like in the Bible, it's literally carved in stone, "Thou shalt not kill."
Okay, so that's that's Old Testament. Okay, there's a big thing with grace and the Old Testament. I don't kill, and I don't pay anyone to kill for me, which is the same thing. And yet Christians have approached me in the street and sort of like been condescending with me, and they say, "Well, you're not Christian, so you're evil," and da 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 da. And they say you should walk like Jesus, and da da. And I say, first of all, I've got hair like wool and skin of bronze, just like Christ is described in the Bible. I don't kill, like it says in the Ten Commandments. You know, like, and why are you hassling me when, you know, you're killing? You know what I mean? And you're judging me. It's just like, brother. At the end of the day, look. Okay, so
it's hypocrisy.
That is the Old Testament is a big thing when it comes to a born again Christian. We go under grace. But what I'm saying is, if you were to walk down the street and walk over some rubbish, and your conscience says to grab it and put it in the bin, that's God. That's God. That's what God does. That's where the.
It's a good start.
It's a good, but that's
So
you know,
so. There's different views of God. So some people see God as this white male patriarchal being that sits on a cloud with a beard, right? Some people see God as the interconnected, as M theory or string theory, basically the interconnected energy of the multidimensional multiverses. Right? They're two very different concepts of God. Now that's just two examples of many examples of what people's concept of God is. So it's a difficult conversation to have when everyone's got different ideas of what God is. And so if you think God is a consciousness, right, then God is in me because I'm a conscious being. I started meditating as a child intuitively. I've walked a spiritual path my whole life. I do Dharma all the time. I help others. I give. I live in peace. I'm vegan. I don't harm others. I don't pay anyone to harm others. So I walk a spiritual path, but I don't do it because I'm following a particular religion or a particular faith or a particular God, because there's no evidence of any God of the 3,000 odd gods that have been in literature said to exist. But does it matter? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what faith someone follows or if they follow a faith at all. All that matters is the action. If we do good, if we help other beings on this planet that we share, then we're doing good. And that's, I mean, any God would be like, yeah, that's what you need to do, really. Any religion would be, that's what you need to do.
What do you reckon, Russell?
Real.
From an Islamic standpoint, brother, what do you reckon? In your eyes, in your own opinion, is it relevant today?
So I think it is. If you look at everything that's created, from an iPhone to a TV to a car, it comes with a manual. Your iPhone's created by Apple, your car created by BMW, your belt's made by Louis Vuitton. So what about us? Do we have a creator? That's the biggest question that we're talking about. And I think there is. I think religion is relevant today because we're living in an information age. We have, libraries of information at our fingertips without leaving our seat, right? But there's mass confusion. Things are not black and white as they used to be. And there's we definitely need some guidance. Where do we derive our morality from? Can we look at science and say snake is evil, poison is bad? Yep. What do we know is right and wrong? Riz had a beautiful point before that we each have an inner prophet or a moral compass, which we are all born with. We believe that every soul is born pure and we know right from wrong. it says in the Quran, we've created the soul and perfected it and we've guided it. So, for example, how does a lie detector work? It operates on the fact that when you lie, your skin conductivity changes, you start to sweat, your heart rate changes, your pupil dilates. When you hurt somebody, you naturally feel guilty. It's only when you repeatedly do the sin or hurt somebody when you start to become desensitized to it. So on an innate level, we know what's right and wrong. We know that stealing is bad. We're born with that. But I don't think that is enough. And if you look at the Quran, it says we've sent a prophet to every land. And even if a prophet was not sent and a book was not sent, because they believe there was 313 divine revelations, with the main ones being the Torah, the Torah, the Injil, which is the Bible, believe in the Psalms of David. And so we all believe in Abrahamic faiths. And I truly believe that we have a manual. That manual, a part of it is inside of us, that inner prophet, but it's also external. And
so what, do you believe we're all born good?
We're all born good. We're all
according to Islam.
According to Islam, no one is born a sinner, and I think that's the difference between Christianity and Christianity.
When you think of the term sinner,
yes,
and I'd like to know your understanding and yours.
Yeah.
What do you define as a sinner? What do you think sin is?
Well, I believe a sin is anything that breaks against God's law, and so God created a free will for us. Someone came to the prophet, peace be upon him.
So a child is born perfect.
Absolutely.
Not a sinner.
Correct.
When does a child get baptized into his first sin?
So I guess when he reaches the age of puberty, then he's considered to have an intellect and a
4-year-old child or a 3-year-old child that lies, that's not a sin?
Well,
or steals?
It depends.
Does
he know what he's doing? Because sometimes
yes, they do. You have to have children.
Sometimes it's
well, what about psychopaths? What about like sociopaths and psychopaths who they do the alpha brainwave scanning or whatever, and they find that they're just wired differently.
I actually don't care what you believe, and I'm not even going to try and convince you or you. Because
I'm stage diving and crowd surfing and moshing, and it's just chaos. It's a release of energy. People are in there releasing this negative energy. They're just wired differently, and so they don't have guilt.
They don't have empathy.
They don't have empathy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's just a different cognitive function. And
that's what I'm saying. So there's no judgment in it. I just want to actually know what people think sin is. You know, what do you
suffering, causing suffering. I think is sin.
Suffering.
It's that simple. Yeah. Like we know from our own experience.
Again, we just use terms, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, suffering feels bad, right? Suffering feels bad. So we don't want anyone to inflict suffering on us. And so, as it says, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you.
You know,
don't cause suffering.
As a kid, you used to get told by your parents, you're not allowed to have this, don't do that. Yet you'd go against the grain and do it. And it felt in myself cheeky. I'd do it and I felt cheeky. I got one over on them. And I knew it was bad. I knew in myself it was bad. So, yes, I did have that in me. I had this moral compass that was instilled in me from birth. Even though, I'm a Christian believer, I was born a sinner. We're going back biblical. And yeah, free will is what directed me into sin. My free will. I chose to do these things.
Yeah.
I was of sound mind and body when I did it. Even though under the influence of any drug, I still chose that. That's sin.
Yeah. Okay.
100%.
So again, when I talk about sin, I'm not placing judgment. I believe sin is just not being aligned. So there's no judgment. I actually don't like it. Saying he's a good guy. Yeah, he's a bad guy. She's a good.
Yeah, well, that's sweeping generalisation because there's not necessarily good or bad people. There's good and bad action.
Yeah.
And we cognitively we like to polarize everything.
But even good and bad action, that's just some people just very self-righteous, and that's the ugliest thing I've ever seen. They just do everything so bloody perfect that everyone just goes, "Oh, piss off." That's just not you. You're just
there's an interesting debate recently on social media where you see these people and they go up to homeless people and give them money and food and clothing and all that stuff, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
And then they get criticised by people going, "Oh, you're just doing that to be on camera doing that, and it's all about your ego and making it look good." And it's just like, maybe some people are doing that, which isn't great. But if you look at it from the perspective of the person who's receiving that.
Yeah.
The person who's cold and hungry and has got no money, and then suddenly they've got all that stuff. They're going to be thankful.
But going back to sin, or being right, not being right. Look, I actually don't care what you believe. I'm not even going to try and convince you or you, because I've been through this journey from 17 years old, and then travelled the world, became a pastor, baptised people in the beach, in the river, in bathtubs, in spa pools. You've done it all, and then the very organisation that actually were very foundational in teaching me these amazing truths of Christianity and Christ and love, they actually turned religious. They actually turned self-righteous. They actually turned they turned into a franchise.
Yeah, well, religion's like music in a sense. Everyone's got their own personal taste. It's what works for them. Some people, they've gone through a lot of maybe some childhood trauma and stuff, and they've got a lot of emotion to release, a lot of anger to release, they might be drawn to some heavier music like metal or grunge or hard rock or something to release that energy. Like if you've ever gone into a mosh pit and you're just in there and you're stage diving and crowd surfing and moshing, and it's just chaos. It's a release of energy. People are in there releasing this negative energy, and it's very cathartic.
No, I suppose maybe you misunderstood. So I'm saying you start off with this incredible spiritual journey, and then what you end up doing is you actually let go of this journey with you and God,
and become spiritual.
And then you actually, because back to that sin thing, because you slowly give away to peer pressure, to religion, to orthodox, to I've got to be in prayer, or I've got to be doing this, or I've got to go to church. And then what starts to slowly happen is this schism happens inside you. And all religions do it. I've seen this happen in corporates. You start off loving the job, loving this, and all of a sudden bullying starts to happen because the progress of the religion is more important than people being right in here.
Yeah, you've got to have your own personal relationship with God.
It has to be
Simple
very
as
personal.
that. It's you and God. Yeah. I don't need church. Christ never needed church. He never sat foot in the church. He walked the earth and bring church with him wherever he was.
Absolutely.
Fellowship for me is me and my family having dinner with brothers and sisters. That's fellowship for me. Yeah, I go to church. Yeah. I go once a week. That's not a problem. That's on my choice.
Yeah.
But my personal religion, my personal belief is I've got a great relationship with God, and I keep that going every second of every day. I'm talking. I'm constantly in contact with my God. I'm speaking. I'm thanking. I'm asking for direction. I'm asking for wisdom, giving me strength. I'm talking on a secondly basis. I don't need to go to church. I don't need to be part of a Christianese society or a super spiritual society. I know that God knows my heart, and even if I swear and I do ask for forgiveness for that, He still knows my heart.
Yeah.
That's the connection.
There's been a lot of wars fought in this world over religion, and that wouldn't happen if religion was personal.
But that's that group thought I'm saying, going back to, is that people do have, I believe God's always waking people's souls up, and we tamper with that too much. Because people saying, wait a second, you're too free.
Yeah.
We need to start boxing
that's a Pharisee's
we need to start making sure that you're not being too disruptive. I remember when I was a teenager, actually Mario, he's a good old friend of mine here in the background. I remember I was in the streets to talk because I was new and I was trying to learn to be like these other Christians, but some of them started going a bit hardwood, if I call it that, and I started becoming quite dogmatic. Doesn't take long. And I remember going up to Hare Krishna. He was giving out his books, and I took his books and I looked at his face because I felt this free in religion, free in God. But I actually started being free in religion because I was part of my gang now. I actually joined this crew, this gang. And I let go of this spiritual encounter, and I tore this book in front of him, having this encounter with this Hare Krishna. And the Hare Krishna punched me in the mouth, punched me in the nose. and Mario was going to come, probably because he was going to punch him in the mouth, And I totally lost respect for him, but I was so self-righteous. I created that scenario. So here, 20 years later...
So you're both wrong. You're both acting in violence. Yeah.
Both of us wrong. And so I was in India about 4 or 5 years ago after I'd gone through a constant renewal of this experience with God. And I went to the Hare Krishna temple, and started talking to some people. I wanted to be really empathetic because I still remember what I did like 20 years earlier. And I remember going outside and just asking them to forgive me. Asking this big, they're going to think the guy's nuts, But I was very disrespectful to them, and that's their journey, If God chooses to wake them up.
The question tonight is religion relevant today? I personally believe it is. If you look at human nature, we're always following something. Look at social media, we're following celebrities, we're following athletes, actors, actresses. And if you don't follow something, you're going to, worship money, worship idols. We're always idolizing something and following. And nowadays, people are going towards spirituality. I myself am a Muslim and I also practice yoga. People are now practicing martial arts.
Isn't there a conflict with those two?
Not at all. Not at all.
Would your Muslim brothers and sisters say that?
Depends on how open-minded they are. But yoga, the word yoga just means a system. And to be a true yogic practitioner, you have to be a vegetarian. There's many, many different principles. But I believe it brings harmony. And prayer itself, when you pray 5 times a day, it's a form of yoga. All the different positions. In India, they call them asanas, or different positions, which relieves pressure, promotes blood flow, alleviates stress. These are all natural ways of connecting with the divine, connecting with the Creator.
So you're experimenting with Eastern religion as well as Islam?
Absolutely, absolutely. If you look at it, people are following martial arts. I've practiced martial arts, I've done yoga, I've done Pilates, and I see that people are yearning for some spiritual journey, including meditation. There's so many different types of meditation. I think it is relevant. We need to follow something. If we just follow pop culture, if we follow trends on social media, they change every decade. Every decade, the clothing is changing. First, chocolate is bad for you. Now it's good for your heart. First, sugar is bad. Now there's good sugars, good fats.
So this guy was a Muslim, a practicing Muslim, according to him. So I wasn't there. Sure. From 13 for over 20 years. Now he says he's a born-again Christian, follows Jesus Christ. Do you find that a bit odd or offensive or annoying, or like he's lost his way?
Not at all. I find that
as a Muslim.
Look, I can't speak on behalf of the whole Muslim community. I can speak on behalf of myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
For Riz, I find that very unique, and I think that's an amazing thing that he's still found that guidance. I'm not one to say, don't follow. There's a saying, if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything.
But that's not Islamic saying.
No, it's just a general.
But I'm saying, as a Muslim, that's your constitution.
He's getting at the point that I could be killed, whether in Afghanistan, whether even if I'm walking in Israel, man, I could get killed. You know what I mean? Because of the whole jump religion thing. At the end of the day, but how do you see me now as a convert?
As long as you're a believer in a divine and you practice peace, you respect other people. You follow the commandments, the 10 commandments, which all the Abrahamic faiths follow. I see you to be a good human being. I see you to be someone worthy of respect.
You're a hybrid Muslim. You're an evolved Muslim.
If you look at one of the narrations in Islam, it says, and it's actually written in the United Nations, it says the person is your brother in faith or your equal in humanity. No one is above or below you. You can't judge.
I agree.
Islam came to eradicate racism, where one of the person who was the muazzin, the one who used to recite the azan, he was a black person. He was given, great respect. When people go for pilgrimage, they go for Hajj, they all wear the same clothes. You don't know who's a king and who's a slave.
Yep.
And when you bow down, the whole concept of bowing and prostrating your head on the ground is you don't know who's tall and who's short. Everyone looks the same at that level.
Yeah.
And it's the most humbling position that you can be.
So we're talking about good aspects of religion, and which in that context that makes religion relevant today. However, one of the other side is the negative aspects of religion. Religion's been responsible for a lot of wars, a lot of bloodshed,
That's human nature. What we would call that.
Yeah,
religion,
but that human nature, those wars that have been fought, they're being fought in the name of God. And so people have been using religion. If you imagine religion like a knife, some people have been using it as a surgical tool to heal and for charitable work and to walk the path of ethics and morality. Others have been using it as a weapon to murder and steal land and wander the earth with a Bible and a gun.
When I say the term father, does it give you good feelings or bad feelings?
It makes me think of a patriarchy, to be honest. I think the patriarchal language of a lot of religions is...
mother. If I say the word mother, does that give you good feelings or bad feelings?
I think that's a more positive term when you think of Mother Earth, mother being the giver of life. Female being the creator, male being the destroyer.
When I use the term father, and again, let's be personal. I think that's a good way to be.
Yeah.
Did you have a good relationship with your father?
I had 2 fathers, both have passed now.
Right.
And they were okay people.
Okay people?
Yeah, I wasn't really close to either of them.
And what about your mum?
She's a good person.
Yeah.
Close
relationship with her?
Yeah, but my relationship with the word mother or father, I don't limit to my personal experience.
But my point in that is saying, so when you use the term father or mother, it is about personal experience.
Well,
and so when we use
not in my case. In my case, it's not about personal experience, and I'll explain it to you. It's about the sexism that exists in language, and in a patriarchal society, the use of God being male in gender, the use of mankind, the use of language like this is disrespectful to women, and that needs to change.
Yeah.
And we can't not acknowledge
but again,
that. It has to be pointed out.
It does come from personal experience. It's a seed bit of personal.
It doesn't come from personal experience. It can be influenced by personal experience.
And so this is an example. I'll give you an example. I was at a bottle shop the other day, and I asked for a bottle of rum. And it was a good deal. I said a typical wog, Greek Macedonian. And the kid, he's probably about 22, 23 years old, probably hasn't even been to Macedonia. He goes, "What are you, Greek or Macedonian?" I said, "I'm a Greek Macedonian. I know what I am."
Mm.
And he goes, "Where are you from?" I told him where I'm from. He goes, "You're Macedonian." I said, "No, mate, I'm Greek Macedonian." And here is this guy already has got an experience because his mother, his world, he hasn't been there.
Mm.
But he's carrying this allegiance to absolute, he's fighting a fight that's not even existing now.
Mm.
Because of his personal experience. And now he's feeding that. And he'll find evidence to feed that, evidence to feed that. And my point is religion, people say they do it in the name of God. They're not doing it in the name of God. They're doing it in their personal experience.
Oh yeah, sure.
It's not in the name of God.
Religion's going to die out if it's not carried on to the next generation at the end of the day. Like if me and you were to go out to eat and we were seen by other Muslim brothers and sisters and other Christians, I can speak for me personally, the people that I surround myself with are not judgmental. We don't judge at all. And I know the people that you surround yourself with won't judge. But in hindsight, society, through media and through everything else, we're clashing. Islam and Christianity is clashing. We are kafir, you know what I mean? Islam doesn't like us at all. Islam doesn't. But Jesus is mentioned in the Quran.
I don't agree with that.
Fair enough. But Jesus is mentioned in the Quran as well as being the head of Christianity faith. Me personally, my experience, I've got some brothers that are totally against my converting. They don't want to talk to me. They don't want nothing to do with me, and that's their choice. You know what? At the end of the day, I still love them, and I still pray that they're okay. I still pray for their well-being and their health. But for us, for viewers, for whatever, this is something that they're clashing with right now. I guarantee it. With us sitting across from each other, me being a convert from Islam to Christianity, I guarantee it's going to be a clash for both. They will not be able to fathom why you're sitting here.
Yeah.
But you know what I think it is? The fact that you love Allah as much as I love Jesus Christ, and at the end of the day, as long as we're following in our hearts to follow the right way, the best way we know how to please our God, halas. That's the end of the story.
When we get back to the question about is religion relevant in this time, I guess it's about weighing up the good and the bad. So that on the good, it's a good moral and ethical compass for some people, and the bad, it's used by some people as an excuse, as a tool to say I'm a good person even though I'm doing this. I can just say a few Hail Marys and I can still sin as much as I want. And so it really is. It's relevant to the individual. It's personal, and I think religion is at its best when it's just personal. And when people are experiencing that religion within, and they don't have to tell other people what religion they even are.
No, but it's good to teach. We've got to teach our kids
with their
to
God
grow
or their inner
that.
self.
Of course, but teaching the next generation to grow a relationship with God or with a high power of their own understanding is a big thing.
But you're talking, unfortunately, like me, through a world of experience. So you're defining it a lot better for yourself. But still, it comes from your experience.
Well, everything comes from our own perspective and our
Absolutely.
own life experience. Our perspective is our life experience.
Yeah.
So I fortunately had a father that, he was my bloody hero. And so when I got introduced to the understanding of God, like you say, as a patriarch, I got it. God is my protector. God.
Yeah, but my
me.
problem isn't with like the my relationships with my fathers. My problem is with sexist language, and that's got nothing to do with my relationship with anyone. It's got only to do with my consciousness, which is about equality.
But that's okay.
Sexual equality is essential. There's no excuse for it. Otherwise, it's sexism.
Look, we are considered equal. At the end of the day, can I say something from this is from my understanding as a Christian understanding now. Woman was created from man, from the side to walk alongside man. Wasn't created from the head or the foot. So we are equal. Eve was created from Adam's rib to stand side by side with her man. So we are equal from back then. Okay, it's all been blown out of proportion with all this craziness in the world growing over the years and free will taking over. And
if we're equal, which we are, men and women, then the language should reflect that. When the language is patriarchal and it's our Father who art in heaven and it's mankind and things like that, that is incorrect. That's sexist. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying needs to be addressed. It needs to be representing men and women equally.
I think that the word father is, I suppose, another name for creator.
Yeah. I understand. Look, you're not sexist. I understand.
Yeah, because everyone comes from the seed, which is of the man. So I think that's where the connection is.
And so it's about modernising stuff and understanding that some of these religious texts were written thousands of years ago, and we need to modernise them in this world, because we no longer live in the world where women vote now. Slavery's been abolished, even though there's still lots of slavery in the world now, and there's lots of women oppressed in the world now.
The one person that scares me in the world is my wife.
Same.
Okay? And it's got nothing to do because of her integrity, because of her humanity. And she's a vegan too, so I'm 90% vegan until I go out and like a vampire. I eat as much red meat as I can, and I go back and I'm a vegan 90% of the time because she's a bloody good cook. And my point in her, it's got nothing. It's not a sexist thing. Is that I love the fact that she's all female. She's for me. Yeah. She's all female. She makes me want to be a wholesome person, not a good person, because I ain't a good person.
Well, as a vegan, she follows the "Thou shalt not kill," which was literally carved in stone. So that's a great thing.
Yeah, but that's just one of a lot of things. And so I again back to the experience of we pass on our experiences. We pass on. This is where healthy religious teachings or healthy teachings is you're passing on what you are. You actually when I look at my kids. I look at my kids and I say, God, help me not to pass on those things of which I am. Yeah. Help me to pass on these things.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Because these things which I am, actually give me peace. They actually make me happy. These things which I am, that I'm gnarly, I can be really critical.
And I guess that's the fine line with religion, isn't it? There is a positive element and a negative element. And it really gets down to, it's hard to make a sweeping, generalised blanket statement across everybody. But individually, we can check in with ourselves and going, okay, is my relationship with my God, is my relationship with my religion beneficial for me or not? Is it causing me to make excuses and just sin as much as I want and say a few Hail Marys or a few whatever from whatever religion that people do? Or is it helping me to make ethical, moral choices which are going to benefit the greater community?
So if you look at the word religion, it comes from the Latin religare, which means to rebind or to reconnect. And there's many reasons for a religion, right? One is, cohesion or social bonding. One is it gives you a purpose and a motivation. When you're going through difficulty and hardship, it gives you a hope. And also,
but sometimes it doesn't, because religion can be the most damning things. It gives you a burden, because you can't live up to it.
Definitely,
you can't walk it. You can't do it.
It can be a burden because you're constantly feeling judged, and you say, "Oh, am I a sinner? Did I do the wrong thing?"
Based on other people's expectations.
Sure, but if you look at it, Tom, they've done studies, right? They had two kitchens in the same office. One had a camera and one didn't. The kitchen that had a camera, they found that people were more likely to wash the dishes afterwards and clean up. the kitchen that didn't have any camera, people left the dishes.
And the kitchen that people didn't have the camera, they didn't have integrity.
Correct.
And the one that did have a camera,
Yeah.
they're ants that just follow when people are watching. So so did you understand the difference?
Sure, but it
And
also,
they might not have integrity.
Sure, but it also indicates that we perform better. We have more integrity when someone's watching. Like if there's no police and there's no speed limit, people would be speeding. There'd be more deaths.
So the faith in God itself
It's
is
like-
God is the eye watching us.
Correct.
That's what keeps us correct, right? Keeps us on
And
point.
I disagree with that personally.
I believe we
I
need
disagree
something.
with
You
that
need,
completely.
you need the teacher. You need your parents. You need someone like a police to give you integrity, because we have that free will and we can easily diverge away from
I
goodness.
planted an olive tree in my front yard. I've got rid of all my front lawn, and I'm going to sit under that olive tree in about 15 years' time and have a beer with my kids, maybe. That tree is neither good nor bad. It's either healthy or unhealthy.
Sure.
That's it. There is no judgment. If the tree starts to die, something's gone wrong. It's gotten sick. And when I look at, when people say, I'm this and I'm that, I define myself as a Christian not because I do certain things, but because I identify with the fact that I couldn't fix my life. I couldn't be a good person. I'm not a good person. I'm just not a good person. So, you're trying to be falsely humble. I know what I am. And my relationship with God has got nothing to do with me being good enough. It's God helped me to realign, and out of my walk with God, like my children, I love them. Good, bad, or indifferently, I can't help loving my kids.
So your relationship with your religion helped you.
My relationship with a spirit God, and again the life of Christ, and Jesus didn't teach religion. Jesus exemplified the nature of God.
So that was your medicine, which healed you in a sense, and just as that is your medicine, I'm sure, and we know it's millions of people's on this planet.
Absolutely.
Medicine. But however, some medicine for some people is actually poison, and they need a different sort of medicine. And so different types of religion is like that. Different religions work with
God's
different
love,
things.
I'm telling you, it's the healing potion.
Yeah, well, I live
for this character that was.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean,
I was a heroin addict. I was a heroin addict for 25 years, okay?
Religion didn't heal this guy. No. Christianity didn't heal this guy.
Let me tell you something. The amount of times I'd prayed, and made extra dua and everything when I was praying in Islam, brother, and I was still using heroin, I was still committing crimes, I was still a gangbanger. I should be doing life in prison for the stuff that I've done. I'm telling you now, my connection, like my relationship with God, with Christ as I know it, is what's given me my medicine.
And that's what I'm saying, that medicine worked for you. Obviously, you have a different medicine. I don't need any medicine. I've started meditating as a child. I've followed the spiritual path. I'm a good, ethical person. I'm vegan. I give to charity. I help people.
Who told you were good?
I'm observing it. Lots of people do. Lots of people do constantly.
How are you
constantly
defining yourself as a good person?
Because I'm constantly being told that by people.
But
I'm constantly helping people.
But what does that even mean?
It means reducing suffering. Essentially,
who?
Any being. Essentially, creating suffering to any being is bad. Alleviating suffering to any being is good. That's basically morals and ethics in a nutshell.
Is communism a good thing?
There are aspects of communism, socialism, capitalism that are good.
No, I'm asking you, is communism a good thing? Specifically, in your opinion?
My opinion is not that polarized, because that sort of oversimplification of something is it's a too complex an issue to make an oversimplification like that. I'm not a polarized thinker.
Yeah.
I find that
but you are a polarized thinker, because you're saying you're good. You are polarized. You're actually saying that you're good.
That doesn't make me an overall polarized thinker.
No, but you are polarized because you're saying you're a good person. Because people tell you you're a good person.
Making one polarized statement doesn't make me a completely polarized person.
But you've defined yourself.
Yeah.
You have defined
That's one polarized statement. It's just like saying one person does a good act.
No.
Makes them a good person.
You said, Hitler keep telling me I'm good, therefore I must be.
Hitler might have saved a child from drowning. Does that make Hitler a good person? No, it doesn't.
Absolutely.
That's just one good act.
He's a very unhealthy person.
That's just one good act. So we can't.
But you see where I'm getting at about good and bad.
And
the problem with what religion does, in its cruelest form, it actually tries to make us good, of which we can't be. It's like me telling that olive tree, you're a good olive tree.
Why can't we be?
Why can't we be good? What makes you say that?
Because for me to say whether you're a good person or not, it's not up to me to do that. I don't actually have knowledge of who you are at all. I'm not God.
Yeah, but your opinion is irrelevant because it's just one person's opinion. We're good people,
but
and we demonstrate that.
Opinion about you is irrelevant. 1,000 people's opinion about you is irrelevant.
I think the more opinions,
it has no relevance. Because that doesn't mean that that's you.
The numbers of opinion is relevance in itself because it is observation. And really,
you know that Bill Clinton was voted to be the president of America, and yet he was involved in an adulterous relationship which destroyed the soul of people. Is he a good person or a bad person?
Well, first of all,
and I'm saying he's neither good nor bad. He's
first
just unhealthy.
First of all, Bill Clinton did not destroy the souls of people by having sex in the Oval Office.
No, I'm not saying.
That's not true.
No.
Second of all, to quote
when
Michael Franti from the Disposable Heroes of Hypocrisy, I don't care who they're screwing in public. In private, I want to know who they're screwing in public.
Yeah, but
okay?
that's such a
Bill
Bill
Clinton having sex, the president having sex with somebody. Who cares who he's screwing in the office?
The point
he's screwing lots and lots of people in war.
When millions of people think you're a good
millions
person,
of people in poverty.
That still doesn't make you a good person.
It fails. It fails big time sometimes, and then sometimes when. And it's clear to say it's everyone else's different opinion. War is a big failure of religion. Charity is a big win of religion.
Of course, but your opinion is sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't.
Yeah.
Your opinion is religion relevant today?
Yes, it is.
100%. Your opinion?
I believe religion is a pathway to God.
Okay, and I believe religion is relevant today. And you know what? At the end of the day, I love all these like brothers. So, you know, your personal opinions are your personal opinions, and I respect every single view here. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to go walk on the next man because he doesn't believe what I believe in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that would be dogma.
Right, so I'll pray for that, man. I'll pray for any man that doesn't, you know, live my life at the end of that.
It's like music. We all have different tastes in music, you know, and so like some people like country music, some people like hip hop, some people like funk, some people like reggae. You know, like everyone's got their own taste, and we can't say because I like this type of music, everyone has to like this type of music. This. It's like medicine. Some people require this side of medicine, but everyone requires their own.
So if you read the Quran, it says one scripture says, "Indeed, we've created you into nations and tribes so that you may get to know each other." So if God wanted us, He'd all create us the same race, the same ethnicity, the same religion.
They made tribes.
But they were different tribes.
Different tribes, brother.
But different tribe can be interpreted in different ways. But we're all different religions. Not all of us are meant to be the same. And why should we convert each other as long as we're good to each other and we respect each other?
It's not even about converting. I think it's about when you experience the same thing.
Yeah.
In eternity, there is going to be one language.
Correct.
One people.
Yes.
And that's what I love about the picture of eternity is it has no Black Lives Matter. It has no male or female.
We all glorify. We all glorify.
There is no defining of what we're you know.
Yeah, well, physics shows us that energy is only transferred; it's not destroyed. So we are part energy, and so when our physical body dies, that energy lives on.
Absolutely,
that's indisputable truth as far as we know scientifically at this time. Yeah. Whether our consciousness goes with that energy or not, that's debatable. And there's lots of speculation on all the variables that, you know.
Have you ever actually experienced? Would you define yourself as actually experiencing God or knowing God, or would you define yourself as a follower of Islam in the hope that you know God?
Look, I've felt a presence. You know, it's all we can see is feel as an energy. We can't see Him. You know, when it describes Him, He's got a face and hands.
Do you describe God as Him as well?
It says, yes, it says it in the Quran. But again, it's not specific gender, it's just a way of describing it. A language is a word to describe something.
Okay, so look, back what I was saying to you, have you had prayers answered? Have you had Allah's blessings bestowed upon you, and you've got proof of that? You can actually, because me personally, let me just say, for me, like I said, I was praying in jail. Like after becoming a born again Christian, I was praying to Christ to show me something. It was all, I didn't believe nothing. I prayed that He showed me something. I prayed to get into rehab. I needed to get out of there. I'd stop crime. I'd stop the gangs. I actually stopped using drugs whilst I was in prison. I was using heroin in prison. Now, I prayed to get into rehab, and out of 7,000 male prisoners in the state, plus, after 7 years of one rehab not accepting me, okay, I was accepted into a rehab for the first time, for me personally, that was a blessing. That was a prayer answered. Serenian House took me on board. Okay, now I went in there. We with blind sight. I never knew what the heck was going to happen to me. But prior to getting in there, I started throwing more prayers up in jail to see if this was real. I prayed to stop smoking. 3 days after I prayed, man, I stopped smoking. The cravings for me stopped. I actually gave my smokes to the cell next door. I prayed to see my auntie, my mother's sister, who I haven't seen for years. She rocked up at the prison, and I told them all before into jail. No one usually comes to visit me. I prayed to see my auntie. She came to the prison. She was crying. You know what I mean? She was saying that somebody said that she had to come and see me.
Did you have experiences like
You
that?
tell me your experiences,
I
brother.
can't share something amazing like that, but I just pray for guidance. I pray every day
And
to,
you get gifted
to
that.
wake up with a purpose and to make a change. And I can see slowly coming on the barbershop chat, having a voice to speak up,
great.
and working
man.
with the youth and doing mentoring for uni students and really small things every day. If you want to see a miracle, just look in the mirror.
And that's great. And this is where religion really, really excels, isn't it? It's a beautiful thing about religion. But unfortunately, there's the dark side of religion. Like for example, the abuse, like all the pedophilia.
There's the dark side of people.
The
Yeah,
Catholic
exactly.
Church. But specifically in religion, specifically in Catholicism, for example,
There's the dark side of people.
where so many priests abusing children, and when the priests abuse children, they don't get put in jail, they get moved to a different place, and they just get moved around and moved around and moved around. It's basically the Catholic Church is the biggest pedophile ring in the world, and that's a big issue, like the abuse of children under the name of
religion. Do you have
religion.
an issue with all Catholics?
I have an issue with pedophilia.
Of course you do.
I think
Yeah.
everyone with their right mind.
I have an issue with
that
any.
person's not practicing Catholicism.
I have an issue with
That
any.
person-
I have an issue
That
with
person's not practicing Catholicism.
well, I
so
have-
don't have an issue with Catholics.
I have an
You
issue with
a
religion.
pedophile.
I have an issue with
You know what?
any religion
Pedophilia-
where pedophilia is a big part of that religion.
In Islam, how
You know?
is pedophilia handled? By death, yeah?
I can't comment. I don't know. I have to read.
So,
I have to read the law.
There's,
but-
from what I've seen in the
Yeah.
past, by death. I mean, if someone commits an act like that, usually stoned to death. Usually. And this is in the Middle East. But with
Well,
Catholics...
women have been stoned to death for having sex.
100%.
Gay people have been stoned to death for being gay. I mean, look at a lot of religions
But again, that's
completely ostracize
But what-
and oppress and abuse and murder people
So
from the
there's-
LGBTQIA plus society, and this has been happening for centuries. And how can religion justify that? It is completely
people
against
judge the other.
God. It is
That- that's
completely
the-
against God.
People that practice wholesome faith don't commit pedophilia.
That's right.
They just don't.
But
People that
pedophilia is rife
that's why they
through
call them
the
wolves
Catholic
in
Church.
sheep's clothing.
It's rife
That's why they
through
actually
there.
call them wolves in sheep's clothing, because they were never sheep.
They were always that wolf.
But
Yeah.
They were all wolves.
essentially, organisations need to clean up their mess. The Catholic Church needs to clean up the pedophiles. The police department needs to clear up the racists and the clan members in the police department.
Within the LGBT, the gay community, the lesbian, there's no predators in that community?
Of course, there's predators everywhere,
And that's
but,
the point.
but there are areas where there are predominantly more predators.
Because there's more people.
No, predominant per head of population.
Not
But
true.
not. Yeah, that is true. That's a fact.
So that back to my question about communism. Is communism good or bad?
It's not that simple.
It's helped millions, hundreds of millions of people come out of poverty, and yet you would know that the same hierarchy has used that to embezzle millions, to kill people for no good. So it's got nothing to do with
Capitalism kills
And
millions of
it's
people.
capitalism.
Millions of people are starving to death right
100%.
now because of capitalism.
and capitalism. So it's not capitalism, religion. It's people
Yeah, it's people.
doing bad things.
Yeah, under the guise of certain things.
Under
And-
the guise, and it's the best
thing-
place to do it.
Yeah.
It's a
But-
it's a
but-
money,
Best
yeah,
place
it's a
to-
cash
Where
cow.
else would you
but
do it?
some
definitely
guy-
cash
You
cow,
want
man.
to kill a
Some
sheep,
guises- some
you don't
guises-
come as a wolf.
Yeah, exactly. But some guises attract more of those predators and more of those people that do
Because
these evil things.
There's 1 billion Catholics in the world.
Is religion relevant today for you, Russell?
I definitely think it's relevant today. I think we're all in search of a spiritual need. And there's an verse or an ayah in the Quran that says, "Illa bi dhikrillah tatma'inna al-qulub." Indeed, by the remembrance of God does the heart find ease. Now, why do you find a lot of these celebrities, a lot of these people with wealth, with fame, with money, why are they committing suicide? Why has Anna Nicole Smith committed suicide? supposedly. Why Heath Ledger overdosed. Why are all these people, Robin Williams, a very talented person, and this is just some comics. If they've got that fame, if they've got that fortune, what's missing? And I believe that spirituality can be found through religion.
Yeah,
Tom?
Sorry.
I believe religion is almost like a primary school. It's a bit of a tutor to know things, to understand things, and you grow out of religion. But yes, I do believe religion has relevance. Is it relevant to everyone? Not really.
Dan, what about you?
I think religion's relevant. I think it's a useful tool for different people at different stages of their life, different religions. I think the main important thing is that we use religion in a positive way. Like obviously there's been a lot of child abuse and prejudice against the LGBTQIA plus community and wars and things like that. So there's a lot of negative aspects of religion, but there's a lot of positive aspects of religion, you know, charity and people finding peace within themselves and moral and ethical compass, you know. So I think it's relevant for the people who need it. Not everybody needs it. Some people.
But for you personally?
For me personally, I've walked a spiritual path. I started meditating as a child and walked a spiritual path my whole life. Do a lot of dharma. Do a lot of stuff for charity. I help people. I live with my morals and ethics, and I don't need religion. But that's just me personally. I think it's like medicine. Whoever needs the medicine, great. Whatever medicine, whatever religion works for anyone, whatever medicine works for anyone, wonderful.
All right. Well,
and yourself?
For me, definitely. For me, I definitely believe religion is relevant today. God is the centre of my life. I love God before I love Jesus, before I love my wife, before I love my kids, anything. He's the centre of everything for me. And if I promote that to my kids, I'm hoping that they pick up through their own free will, you know, a path that's right for them. Free will is a great thing. But for me, God is the centre of our house. He's the head of our house. And relevant, big time. Very relevant.
Would God be part of your family as well? So in a sense...
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, so in a sense, God being the central part of yourself, your family's being the central part of yourself because God and your family are as one.
Yeah. I mean, I cannot speak for everyone else, but I know that one thing is for sure, that my wife loves Jesus more than she loves me, and that's what I ask of her. That's what I prayed for when I prayed for a wife. And the same with me. I love him before I love her, my kids, my parents that have passed, anyone, you know what I mean? He comes first. And as long as he comes first in our family, in our life, and in our surrounding friends, families and lives, it's a major thing. Religion is relevant to us.
Well, I see the greatness in you, and I see that if that's come from religion, then I see the greatness in religion through seeing it through you, you know, so that obviously works for you in an amazing way.
Like, it's a medicine, like you say. I am more than healed. I'm forgiven. That's a great thing for me. Yeah.
Yeah, because you've had an amazing journey, and to come to where you are now as a healer, helping people the way that you do, is very powerful. And
thank you, brother. Well, I've got to give all praise to God on that, because it's not me. It's this is teaching. This is, I pray for wisdom. I pray for the guidance. I pray for the strength, and I'm receiving it. So, yeah, thanks very much, brother. Thanks to you both. Thanks to all three.
thank you, everybody.